what life was really like 5,000 years ago. Today, we live in a world of technology, cities, and instant communication. But have you ever wondered what life was really like for people who lived 5,000 years ago? Long before smartphones, airplane, and even electricity, our ancestors built civilizations, fed their families, and created traditions that still echo through time. Let's take a journey back in history and explore the daily lives of ancient humans. 5,000 years ago takes us back to around 3000 BC. This was the age of early civilizations. Ancient Egypt along the Nile, Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates, the Indus Valley in South Asia, and the first dynasties in China. Humanity was entering a new stage of development. Villages were turning into cities, agriculture was booming, and writing systems were just beginning to appear. But what was the reality of day-to-day living? Let's break it down. For most people, life centered around survival. Farming was the backbone of existence. Families rose with the sun and worked long hours in the fields. In Mesopotamia, wheat and barley were staples. In the Indus Valley, people grew rice and cotton. Along the Nile, the yearly floods brought fertile soil, allowing Egyptians to grow crops like flax, wheat, and papyrus. Food wasn't just eaten, it was stored, traded, and even used as currency. Meals were simple: bread and beer in Egypt, lentils and dates in Mesopotamia, and rice dishes in the Indus Valley. Meat was rare for common people, usually eaten only during festivals or religious ceremonies. Wealthier families might enjoy lamb, goat, or fish more often, but for the majority, a plant-based diet was a norm. Shelter was equally practical. Most homes were made from mudbrick, simple, square structures with flat roofs. People often slept on mats, with only a few clay pots and wooden stools as furniture. Wealthier families could afford larger homes with courtyards and decorated walls. But for ordinary farmers, shepherds, and workers, houses were built for function, not luxury. Religion and belief systems shaped every aspect of daily life. Ancient Egyptians believed in gods that controlled everything: the flooding of the Nile, the harvest, even life and death. Mesopotamians built massive ziggurats, believing they connected heaven and earth. In the Indus Valley, ritual bathing and symbolic seals hinted at spiritual practices. To ancient people, the gods were everywhere, watching, rewarding, and punishing. Life wasn't just physical survival, but spiritual balance. Work was divided by gender and class. Men worked the fields, built monuments, and fought in wars. Women managed households, raised children, spun textiles, and in some cases, even owned property or ran businesses. Children learned skills by watching their parents. Education was rare, reserved mostly for scribes, priests, or the wealthy. For most children, their school was the farm, the workshop, or the marketplace. Daily routines often began before sunrise. People washed at rivers, ate a small meal, and then went to work, plowing fields, weaving cloth, crafting pottery, or trading in bustling markets. Evenings were quiet. Families gathered for meals, storytelling, and religious rituals. Entertainment included music played on flutes and drums, board games like the Egyptian game Senet, or simply sitting under the stars. Life was also harsh. Disease was common. Medical knowledge was limited, and many relied on herbs, chants, or prayers for healing. Infant mortality was high, and life expectancy was short. Most people lived only into their 30s or 40s. War and raids between rival cities also threatened stability. Survival was never guaranteed. And yet, there was beauty. Ancient people decorated pottery with intricate designs, carved statues, and wrote poems. They celebrated festivals tied to the cycles of nature. They created art not only for beauty, but as offerings to their gods. Even in hardship, creativity flourished. One of the most fascinating parts of life 5,000 years ago was community. People didn't live alone. They lived in villages, towns, and cities. These were places of trade, culture, and shared survival. In Mesopotamia, bustling markets sold wool, grain, and pottery. In Egypt, workers lived in organized villages near pyramids and temples. In the Indus Valley, advanced cities had running water and drainage systems, showing that cooperation was key to survival. So what can we learn from daily life 5,000 years ago? Despite lacking modern tools, people adapted to their environment, created thriving communities, and built the foundations of civilization. They knew hunger, joy, love, loss, and hope, just as we do today. When you think about it, the biggest difference between us and our ancestors is intelligence, but technology. They lived closer to the earth, dependent on the rhythms of nature. And while we might see them as primitive, their lives remind us of resilience, adaptation, and the human spirit's endless creativity. So the next time you eat bread, gather with family, or look up at the night sky, remember, you're sharing an experience with people who lived 5,000 years ago. Different tools, different times, but the same humanity. What do you think? Would you survive daily life in the ancient world? Or would the hardships be too much? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Ancient Files documentary for more journeys into the past.